This is my Sony lens collection. I'm going to go through each lens that I have and give you the good, the bad, and the ugly of each one. And at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you the one lens that I would take with me if it's the only lens I could have for the rest of my life. So if you know anything about Sony cameras, they absolutely achieve a great image quality. But beyond that, the number one thing that people rave about is the autofocus. And they are amazingly quick at autofocusing. So that is the number one reason why I switched to Sony cameras, because the image quality and then two, the autofocusing has made life so much easier. That being said, the first lens that I actually got was this little kit lens that came with my A7C. Now this is a 28-60 zoom and it has a variable aperture on it. So at its widest point, it's an f4. At its closest point, it's an f6. Now I hardly ever use this lens unless I'm somewhere that I am willing to get it. If I need to get the camera dirty or it's in kind of a tough spot, I'll shoot with this lens, because if I ruin it, it's only like a couple $100 to replace it. So I have this kit lens, and this is the exact same focal length and everything. It's a 28-60, but it's a little faster. It's a 3.5, I believe. Let me just double check here. Yeah, 3.5 to 5.6. So basically what that means is at its widest point, the aperture will be at 3.6, which is the most open, lets the most light in. And when you zoom in, it darkens up because the aperture starts to close up. So it's a cheaply made lens, but nevertheless, the autofocus works great. So if you have one of these lenses, you can use it and it does okay, but you just won't achieve the kind of like cinematography that you could with some of the other lenses. Actually, the first lens I actually bought was this bad boy right here. This is the Sony Zeiss lens. It's an E-mount lens and it is a 16-35 f4 constant aperture. It gets really wide, but it doesn't get quite as tight as I would like. So I bought this lens, and then to match it, I bought this lens, which is a 24-70 f4. So as you know, on full frame cameras, the depth of field is quite great, even at an f4. But what typically happens with me when I'm shooting with a lens that's like 2.8 or faster, most of the subject matter that I shoot is with my twin daughters, Veronica and Vanessa, the Merrill twins. And what would happen is I'd have a two shot, and one would be maybe 6 to 7 inches closer to the camera or further away, and they would be out of focus. So the f4 just locks me into a decent amount of depth of field, but also keeps my subject matter in focus. Now these are my run and gun lenses. I go to them all the time. The image is great. They're pretty much color matched. I'm not sure. I think Sony does color match everything. Zeiss makes great glass. So the only things I don't like about it is there is no like manual like switch to autofocus, switch to manual switch. There's no aperture ring where you can just close it down. Everything's done electronically. So they're a little bit cheaper than some of the other lenses that Sony has, but nevertheless, they are very good. And I would recommend making sure you have a couple of these in your kit to take with you, because they really do the job well. So the next lens I have in my collection is a 16-35 f4. It's the exact same lens as this one right here, but the only difference is this has a zoom servo on it, and it also has the ability to be a clickless aperture. So you have an aperture ring that is completely clickless if you want it. I kind of keep it on the click side because every once in a while I'll bump it or whatever, and I'll mess up my iris. But nevertheless, the reason why I got this lens was to put it on a gimbal. Now, if you notice on this lens, you zoom out, see how it raises and lowers like that, goes back and forth. This lens is all internally zooming. I don't know the correct terminology for it. Somebody out there has probably said it, but it's internally zooming. So all the optics, everything just stays internal. The cool thing about this lens is that you can absolutely 100% be super flexible while you're on a gimbal. Rather than having a prime lens on your gimbal, you can have this one, and you have from 16 to 35. So great addition to my lens collection. I love this lens. I actually don't use it all that much, but when I do, I'm thankful I have it. I will say this, no matter what lens you have on here, you definitely want to go and get yourself a variable ND filter to screw on the front of these things. If your camera doesn't have built-in ND, the FX3 doesn't have it. None of my cameras have them built in, but like the FX6 has built-in ND filters. Basically, for those of you who don't know, it's like putting sunglasses on a lens. Like when you put sunglasses on, it takes the light down. This helps you keep the aperture much faster. So like you can stay at like a 2.8 to a 1.2, which one of my lenses has that. So I would highly recommend, no matter what lenses you have, always have an ND filter. A variable one is great because you can just easily, while you're shooting, if the sun comes out, changes a little bit, you can dial in a little more ND right away and keep your exposure as you need it. Next lens. This one is one of my favorite lenses. In fact, I would be shooting with it right now if I didn't need to show you it. This is my 20mm prime lens. It's a 1.8, and I love this lens. I love the focal length is a little different. Most people go with a 24. I went with the 20 because I liked it just a little bit wider. I loved just the look of this thing all together is really, really great. Again, it's a 1.8, so it's really fast. So getting an ND filter on the front of it, especially if you're outside, is very helpful to keep that aperture really nice and wide. So I use this a lot on some sketch comedy. I've used this on music video. In fact, I shot a Butterfly Tiger music video almost exclusively on this. Prime lenses are just so much fun. I actually don't have enough prime lenses, but for now, so Wendy doesn't get too mad at me, I'm gonna stick with my 20mm. So this next lens I stole from Aaron. This is an amazing lens. This is a 70 to 200 f4. Now what's great about this lens, and I use it when I'm shooting things for where I need to be like kind of far away and I can zoom into people. It's got great image stabilization built into it. Yes, it's not the fastest lens on the planet, but it looks amazing, and it's a great tool for when you're needing to maybe shoot something that you don't want to be all up in someone's face. For example, I was shooting a promo video for my church the other day, and I was just really far away, and I was just taking some shots of different people's faces, and it's just a great looking lens, and it does the job so well, and it keeps everybody really, really far away. This is Aaron's lens. Don't tell him I have it. Sorry, Aaron, I stole it from you. So the next lens I have in my kit is a Sony G Master Zoom. It is the 24 to 70. It's a 2.8. And this lens is absolutely incredible. It's the highest quality lens that Sony makes right now. I mean, the glass, it just looks so beautiful. Everything is sharp and clean, crystal clear. What I use this lens for a lot is sketch comedy. When we were doing sketch comedy and Veronica and Vanessa aren't in the shot together, it makes it a lot easier to use this lens because it's so fast, and I can open it up and I can get nice depth of field, and it just looks very cinematic. Actually, this is also Aaron's lens. I don't get to steal it a lot, but when I do, I absolutely love it, and I don't want to give it back to him. Last but not least, my absolute favorite lens that I would take with me, that I would just shoot everything on if I could, is my G Master Prime 50mm 1.2. This is an amazing lens. You guys, I can have my eyes in focus and my tip of my nose out of focus. That's how much depth of field you can get with this. You can blur the background out so amazing, and it just looks beautiful. If you just said if there's only one lens you could have for the rest of your life, what it would be? It would be this lens right here. So I'm gonna put it really quick on the camera and let you see what it looks like right here, right now. All right, here it is, the 50mm G Master Prime 1.2 aperture, and it looks beautiful. It makes me look amazing. I mean, my ears are out of focus just a little bit, you guys. And look at the autofocus on this thing. All the way back, all the way in. Just stays right in focus. There is absolutely zero reason why you should not want this lens in your arsenal. It is just beautiful. I think of the lenses, I think it's this bad boy right here. Look at that. Look how quick that is. This bad boy is my second, but my number one. My number one, hands down. Here's by my face, 2 inches forward, starts to go out of focus just a little bit further. And look, it's just like, guys, it looks so amazing. So I don't know what else to tell you. And that's my Sony lens collection. Let me know what is the one lens that you would choose to shoot with for the rest of your life. Make sure to subscribe and like, and we'll see you guys next time.